It's Palm Sunday. And what's Palm Sunday without palm? Well, believe it or not, we're experiencing it today. Because technically I'm saying a private mass, the ritual we're to use, and as a matter of fact, it was dictated by Rome, was what's called Form 3. And in Form 3, we don't bless the palm. We don't distribute the palm. But wait. Someday soon, when we're back together again in church, when we have the congregation gathered, we will have the blessed palm ready for distribution. But it won't be this week. Patience. It was a long line at 6:45 in the morning at the grocery store that opened at 7 o'clock in the morning for seniors only. A young man came from the parking lot and tried to cut in at the front of the line. But an old lady cut him off, hit him with his cane back into the parking lot. Well, the young man tried again, and he got to the front of the line. And this time, an old man cut him off, punched him in the gut, kicked him to the ground, and rolled him into the parking lot. Undeterred, the young man again tried the third time. And as he got to the front of the line, he says, folks, please, if you don't want me to unlock the doors, please let me in. Not sure why I told that story, other than there's a little humor there. And certainly, in the midst of it all, we need a little humor. With the many challenges that exist in life really daily, but that seem to be magnified in our world today and in our country, in our states, even in our own lives, we might wonder, where is the triumph? Where is, in a sense, the glory? And as my grandmother used to say, by the grace of God, this or that will happen. What's that mean? I think it means that the grace of God is the reminder that God has this unconditional love for us, a relationship that is never ending, that is certainly beyond our imagination. The grace of God is God walking with us and watching over us and caring for us. Indeed, it's letting God sort of win the day for us. And in many situations of life, it's all about God. But at the same time, we might ask, what's my part? What's my part in all this? How can we cooperate with the grace of God, the work of God? Five weeks ago, at the beginning of Lent, one of our prayers in what we call the universal prayers now, I still call the prayers of the faithful, was this: may our Lenten observances of prayer, fasting, almsgiving, and good works bring us closer to our God and one another. In faith we pray. And we said, Lord, hear our prayer. I submit to you that God has heard our prayer. And that it may be magnified because of the pandemic. But we have and are hopefully growing closer to God, closer to one another. Our prayer, our fasting, our almsgiving, our good works, as we know, is just not something that's Lent is about. Lent magnifies that, if you will. It reminds us, if you will, of our call as disciples of Jesus. And so here we are at the beginning of Holy Week. And I would pose the question, how will we, and maybe increase a little bit, our prayer, our fasting, our almsgiving, our good works, that will continue to bring us closer to God. And with God, there's no social distancing. And at the same time, bring us closer to one another and to others. And if you watch the TV, and I'm sure you do, we see all kinds of examples of people doing that, reaching out to one another. They're not physically close to one another, but they are drawing closer to one another in spirit, in fraternity, sorority. What can we do? When it comes to prayer, maybe we're doing it and maybe we're not, but how can we pray as not only as a person, but as a family? A grace before a meal, a prayer of the faithful, if you will, before the meal. Dr. Fauci yesterday, a question was brought up at the presidential news conference about all those people that are, as we call, on the front lines now, the medical people and the like. He said, we need to thank them. We also need to pray for them. How do we do that? There's an opportunity. That little list of prayers. Maybe we do it at mealtime. Maybe there's a special time. There's a person who's watching that I visited many years ago in Seattle, Washington. And I remember going to leave the next day, and we went to dinner at a family's home. And before we left, the family said, let's gather the kids. And they had a slew of kids. I think they had 9 or so. And the parents said, we do this every night. We gather the kids who are home, and we do a little prayer together. And they had their list of prayers. One of their children had died, and they prayed for that child. They prayed for Father Joe, who was going back to the East Coast that day, or the next day. And I thought how wonderful that was, that this family would take a little bit of time out of whatever they all are doing to pray. And I think we can do that. Of course, we pray in an unusual way through this live stream Mass, but normally we pray together as a community, and we need to continue to do that. Hopefully invite others to join us. And on this Holy Week, in particular, I would invite you to pray Holy Thursday and Good Friday with us as a community, as we live stream both those services. And both of them on Thursday and Friday will be at 5 p.m. And I think that gives the families, all of you who are home, an opportunity, maybe after that service is done, to then have a meal. Have a meal. And to say amongst yourselves, what did I just experience? What did I hear? What did I hear? In anything, the prayers, the readings, the music, the homily. What did I hear? What did I hear? What is God suggesting to us, in saying to us. Holy Week is a continuation of our fasting. Sure, we can fast from food. Maybe, we say this week, well, instead of having those 8 liters of, Diet Coke, I'll only have 4. Maybe we can fast from some complaining, from pessimism, so that we'll be able to feast down the road. Holy Week is, in that prayer, to continue acts of kindness, good works. We hear it all the time, and we do it, I'm sure. We call people. Call them again. Call them again. Call somebody new. I was thinking in my office, I have a name on my office, and in my office of someone I was visiting with, 3 couples down in Myrtle Beach last August. And don't have the phone number of one of them. I said, I really want to call them, because I heard from the other couples that one of the family members is going through some difficult times. And so I figured, let me call. Now I got to call somebody to get the phone number, and I will. Keep social distancing. It may be a little bit of a pain, but keep it up, because it makes a difference, not just for other people, but even for ourselves. And finally, please don't forget, to the degree you're able, give alms. Continue to do what you can for charities that you're associated with. Continue to do what you can for your church. And I would say thank you for what you are doing for this parish, and I'm sure for your parish, if you're not a parishioner. I heard this week that liquor sales were up 55% over the past several weeks. Let's hope that church and charity donations are not down 55%. We pray to our God, who always hears our prayer. We pray that we will continue to make the effort to live our prayers daily, that we will continue to cooperate with the plan and the grace of God every day. For in the end, God's grace always triumphs.